Now, to be able to achieve that,
card reader times 10.
To be able to achieve that,
yes.
Do you think we have sufficient political education for the Nigerian electorate to be able to hold the elected official accountable, from the president to the National Assembly and everywhere else?
That is exactly my point. And that is why I'm saying it is important that we focus more on that. The electorate are insufficiently enlightened as to their rights, as to who does what in the various levels of government, as to what we do with our money, the budget, and the allocation, and so on. They need to understand that services at this level is provided at social level of government, for instance, which is why, for me, the Freedom of Information Act, when we worked and advocated for it, and it came into place, has not been properly utilized. It was spun as a press act. It's a Citizens Act. It's the cornerstone of our democracy, because this is the act that gives us, the citizens, the right to hold each elected official, each individual dealing with public funds, accountable. To say, what is it you're doing with the money? And you must answer me within X number of days. Why is it that you haven't allocated funds to my local school? Why am I paying to send my children to a private school when I'm a taxpayer in the first place? Why is it that my road is full of potholes? I'm not too bothered about the highways. That's the federal government's problem. But you start with your local government and take it from there. So we need to educate our electorate more. We need our citizens to understand that the power resides with us. And these people are public servants. And I emphasize the word servant, because we think of them as VIPs and monarchs. They're not. They are elected to serve us. And we need to begin to understand that and hold them accountable.
Now, what we have spoken a lot about political education, but how about political communication, which is supposed to be the complete cycle for the electorate and the citizens to be able to get it right? How are we doing with political communication, or what should we be doing?
Well, when I was growing up, we had civic studies and so on. I'm not sure what the curriculum is in schools now, but whatever name that subject is called, it's an essential part of understanding your duties and your rights as a citizen, and we need to be teaching that from the get-go. I wouldn't advise or advocate that we leave it entirely in the hands of politicians, or call it, even the word political education puts it in a box that we should go beyond. It is citizenship. It is a key part of being a citizen of any country, any nation, that you understand your rights, you understand your duties, and you understand those of other stakeholders around you, so that you can hold them accountable, you understand the rules of engagement, you understand the rule of law.
Dr. Barnabas, you made your submission saying that politicians do nothing but politics as a culture. That's what you have made us to understand. And as such, they don't take elections very lightly. So my question to you, do you expect any objections to the outcomes of these elections in the coming days?
Yes, again, it is in the behavior of politicians, particularly in this part of the country, not to accept election outcomes when they are not in their favor. So I will not be surprised, but going by the fake news, if you go to PDP Twitter and some of the spokespersons for their presidential campaign organization, already they are trying to undermine the outcome of the elections. So I think that they may come out with comments and all to challenge the outcome, but from a personal, and I mean this is very personal, my personal opinion about it is that the presidential election was fair enough, you know, such that under any circumstances of their own description or definition of free and fair, I think that President Muhammadu Buhari would have won that election. So if they choose to go to the courts, because I know some of the...
Yes,
I know very
it's
well
in order
that,
because I mean the courts are there to resolve some of those electoral disputes and what have you. But shouldn't the parties observe some restraint? Wait for a moment until INEC comes out with its audit report before any actions.
Ideally, that's what should be. But again, that comes to the question of our political culture and the political behavior of our politicians. They are never temperate. They are never going to, you know, allow peace to reign, particularly when they are not the beneficiaries of INEC declarations. But the truth is the security agencies are there. I think that elder statesmen are also there. The international community and civil society organizations should do the right thing, you know, sensitizing everybody, including the political parties, because I think that the political parties need more political education than even the voters. I mean, look at what happens in South Africa. It is not the voters who hold the public officials alone to accountability. Zuma, the party came out and said he needed to resign because they felt he was not living up to the expectation of that political party. And that's why in South Africa, that party has continued to sustain the legacies of the founding fathers or these people who fought for the emancipation of South Africa from apartheid. So I think that the parties should exercise restraint. They should avoid statements, you know, meant to incite people to violence and all, because their children, their family members will not be at the forefront of that struggle. So if anybody is aggrieved, the Constitution provides the means of addressing those grievances. So they should go to the courts and let the courts examine the facts so that they can make appropriate pronouncements.
Mr. Salabi, Dr. Barnabas says that in his view, in his personal view, it was a fair contest. The results are out, so perhaps that will not be disputed. But when you see the militarization, or should I say the deployment of soldiers to guard the peripheries, if you will, of this election process, not coming anywhere close to the where the ballot box is, but in Rivers State, that was not the case. The army was being accused of actually moving in and, you know, disrupting some parts of the process. Would you, in your estimation, consider that as significant enough to make pronunciations that may suggest that INEC looks into that particular case with a little more vigor?
Well, let me start by saying that the Nigerian army is overstretched. They are being put in situations where they are not supposed to be. They're literally effectively acting in the place of the police. Not because they want to, but because of the nature of the challenges that this country is facing. I think the Nigerian army is outstanding. I think in the face of the challenges, insurgency and all else that we've had to deal with, they have done an absolutely sterling job. I think we do not give them enough credit. When you look at where boys die in the cause of serving their country and the sort of dignity with which they are, you know, sent to rest in comparison to this jurisdiction where they die and we don't even know their names. They've given up their lives for us, and a lot of times we don't get a chance to pay our respects to them. I think they're doing a great job. turning to River State and the allegations and counter-allegations there, again, that is, like you rightly said, why the courts are there. There are processes for accountability, and those processes must be triggered to ensure that if there's been any infringements on the part of anyone, they are held accountable. You rightly said, you know, if the political players have issues, they can go to court. They must go to court. There are, you know, with the election petitions and matters arising from elections, it is time-bound. You do have to move quite speedily. And I would encourage that any aggrieved party does so to ensure that people are held accountable, and it acts as a preventative measure for the next election. So I encourage all aggrieved parties to go to court and seek redress. Use all avenues of accountability available within the system to hold stakeholders accountable for their actions. That I would certainly encourage.
Okay.
But from my perspective, and it's not a personal perspective, it is something that you can check with what are the duties of the army ordinarily, what is the Nigerian army being called upon to do, and are they overstretched, are they well equipped? I think they're doing a great job in the circumstances. And that's my personal opinion. Yes.
All right, then we'll have to leave it at that. Buma Alabi is a legal practitioner. We've also had Dr. Suleiman Barnabas, a lecturer at Bayes University. Thank you both for joining us today on the program.